Sana teşekkür ederim.
Başlayabiliriz.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you. First of all, I would like to thank you and your team for your interest in the Baku Initiative Group.
Интерес к Бакинской инициативной группе.
Why exactly the Baku Initiative Group?
As you know, Azerbaijan was elected as the chair of the non-aligned movement in 2019, and our country has been the chair of the non-aligned movement for the last 4 years. Azerbaijan in its chairmanship has respected the fundamental principles of the non-aligned movement. These are respect for the sovereignty of other nations, their territorial integrity, their security, and recognition and respect for the national movements that fought to gain their independence. Last year, on the 6th of July, within the framework of the Coordination Bureau of the Ministerial Meeting on the Non-Aligned Movement, it was decided to establish a Baku-based initiative group whose main activity would be to fight against non-colonialism and colonialism. And after the establishment of our organization, as I have already stressed, our mission was to fight against neo-colonialism and colonialism within the framework of international law, norms, and principles. And one of the main objectives of our organization is to support international cooperation.
What regions cover these colonies that you are working with?
New Caledonia, French Guiana, French Polynesia, Guadeloupe, Corsica. The representatives of these regions announced their initiative and decision to create an organization that would fight colonialism after the non-aligned movement. That is, not only within the non-aligned movement but also outside the non-aligned movement.
Is it a coincidence that all these regions you named are all connected to France?
That may be a coincidence. But there is also the point that they are colonies of France. And even if it is a coincidence or a mismatch, it is not the fault of the Baku Initiative Group that these colonies are French.
Бакинская инициативная группа не виновата, что именно эти колонии являются французскими.
There was a conference at the United Nations called Decolonization, the Quiet Revolution. What is a quiet revolution? How does it even happen?
When we hear the word revolution, we always think of noisy actions, loud rhetoric, small-scale military actions, weaponization, resistance. Based on our mission and considering that we conduct our activities within the framework of international law, we have chosen the path of observing our activities within the norms and principles of international law to conduct our activities in the direction of peace. And of course, our all actions will be quiet, peaceful, and we have chosen this way. And we want to prove to the international community that it is possible to settle these issues peacefully within the framework of international law, under the umbrella of international law, and with these quiet, calm actions.
Does this umbrella exist?
To some extent, yes. Our country has been the country that has suffered the most, despite being an exemplary country that abides by the norms and principles of international law.
Она является примерной страной, которая соблюдает всегда нормы и принципы международного права.
How effective is your fight against the colonies?
We have recently seen sufficient effectiveness of our initiatives and tasks that we have set for ourselves because we have seen a reaction from France. And of course, the effectiveness is also due to the fact that our relations with the above-mentioned regions, with New Caledonia and others, they are already at a very high bilateral cooperative spirit.
С вышеуказанными регионами, с Новой Каледонией и с другими, они уже на очень высоком двухстороннем сотрудническом духе находятся.
You said that we are seeing a reaction from France. Not just a reaction. We are seeing an aggressive reaction from France. Very aggressive.
Initially, I would not say that it was aggressive, but I would agree with you, because at first we observed their reaction in the French and other European media. Then, when they started to put some barriers for our delegates who should participate in international conferences held by Baku Initiative Group, they started to put some barriers. They started to cooperate with other European countries so that these experts, representatives of some international non-governmental organizations, were not allowed to enter these countries where our conferences are held. And naturally, based on these moments, we started to observe aggressive reaction to some extent.
The flag of Azerbaijan appeared in New Caledonia, and we saw these photos, video frames, and social networks. What was it connected with?
It was mentioned earlier. Yes. We, of course, had absolutely no preparation for this, and it was not organized by our organization. Literally 3 months ago, when they saw our flag for the first time, our colleagues who cooperate with these regions, with non-governmental organizations, with relevant organizations, their representatives started sending us these pictures. And when we started discussing, asking questions, they said that this is loyalty to your country, your support of your state, and of course support of the Baku Initiative Group, because of the fact that you are very fair to the fight against colonialism, and you also went through this difficult path as well. And of course, we, out of loyalty, out of other factors, on our own initiative, we started to raise your flag in our events, in quiet, peaceful actions. And of course, we met it normally and welcomed it, and then it was repeated for the second time.
Is the planet ever going to end the process of colonialism?
Naturally, it will end at some point.
What do we have to do for that to happen? Who has to do what?
I think, first of all, the relevant international organizations, the international community, should give a fairly fair assessment against the struggle against colonialism.
They should, but they don't.
Yes, they should, but they don't. But we will hope that they do not give them yet. And such countries as Azerbaijan, such organizations as the UN, such organizations as the non-aligned movement should be actively involved in this process of decolonization. Because an organization like Baku Initiative Group, we are very active in fighting colonialism. We are very active in showing support to these regions. I think that if they do business in this direction, there will be some natural results.
Я думаю, что если будут вести дела в этом направлении, то будут какие-то, естественно, результаты.
We held 5 international conferences in 4 months. Our first conference was held during the High Week of the General Assembly at the UN at the main headquarters in New York. The theme was decolonization, the quiet revolution. Then we held 3 international conferences in our capital city. We covered a different topic each time in the context of decolonization. We covered international law and human rights twice in 4 months. In Geneva, at the UN headquarters, we held another conference. These conferences not only discussed the political points, but also the lines of action that can be an influential support for these regions. We invited different experts on decolonization, on human rights. I think these events were quite effective. Our main mission in holding these events was to make these regions provide all the reality to the international community, which they could not do before the establishment of the Baku Initiative Group.
The 21st century, we are talking about colonization, decolonization. If not for the Baku Initiative Group, what would have happened to these people?
I will tell you honestly. First of all, the non-aligned movement organization was created in the direction of decolonization. Of course, there have been and there will be results from the activities of these organizations, but in recent years, we have seen very strong passivity and very weak support. As you mentioned, it has to do with whether there is international law, how effective the international organizations are. Countries like Azerbaijan, their exemplary chairmanship of such organizations, and organizations like the Baku Initiative Group, which claim a future struggle against colonialism. I think there will definitely be some achievements, some results at this level. How quickly all this will be finalized, time will tell. The world community, needs to give everything right. We have started this mission, and we, as Baku Initiative Group, have provided very correct and accurate information about the situation in these regions. I think that in the near future, within a few years, there will be more achievements in this direction.
Насчет ситуации в этих регионах. Думаю, что в скорейшем времени, в течение нескольких лет, будут еще достаточно наивысшие достижения по этому направлению.
We hope so. Thank you for your time. Thank you.